Today, the Department of State Services, DSS, paraded a 32-year-old man named Kabiru Muhammad from Kano State, who allegedly created a fake video depicting the marriage of President Muhammadu Buhari to two of his ministers, that of Finance and Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the spokesperson of DSS, Dr. Peter Afunaya, warns against the spread of fake news as the special service remains committed to the peace and stability of Nigeria. He adds that the service acted on a formal complaint by the Minister of Finance, Ms. Zainab Ahmed.
On the 11th of October 2019, to be precise, the Honorable Minister for Finance brought a formal complaint to the service in which she stated that the video had caused her big embarrassment, and she led a formal complaint and asked that an investigation be opened into that audio video that was the video and the audio and all the materials associated, the infographics and other graphic materials that were in circulation at the moment, would announce that it had apprehended the person that is involved. And the person who started this and who circulated the materials, his name is Kabiru Mohammed. He hails from Kano in Dala, local government area of Kano.
You may be wondering what that arrest or the parade means to the scheme of things. So this comes at a time when the government has been talking about the implication of fake news and the impact of social media on our lives. Some federal lawmakers of the ruling APC have proposed social media bill and a hate speech bill hope to tackle the excesses of fake news and social media ills. What is the import of what the DSS did today, and perhaps what the alleged creator of the video did? Now, the question here, you remember at a point in time when President Muhammadu Buhari was out of the country, that story was all over the social media about a plan for the president to marry two of his ministers. And there were videos, in fact, there were also instances where people said there were uniforms, there were clothing that were picked, uniform materials picked for that event, and prayers are being said on a Friday, and the main event will happen on a Saturday. The news and the stories, the rumor was all over the place. So this is the end point of that matter. Now, the bigger picture is the debate over the social media bill and the hate speech bill. This is perhaps a pointer to some of the issues, and the debate tonight will begin. I have joining me tonight on the program Mr. Kayode Ogundamisi from London, a political analyst. He's also a very strong user of social media, and perhaps someone who has also talked about these issues of hate speech and social media. From our Abuja studio is Kato, a social commentator from our Abuja studio, who also has been engaged in this debate over social media bill. Let's begin the conversation tonight, and let me begin with Indy. Indy, good evening. Perhaps a happy new year to you will suffice at this moment. Thank you so much for coming. Let's begin the conversation. And I'd like to ask you, this arrest made by the DSS, what message do you think these portray, considering the debate over social media bill and a hate speech bill?
I think it's a flexing of power. It's an abuse of power. Even the DSS man there, I was watching it and I was asking myself, is he serious? because there's a certain laxity. This is not a serious case. There's so many serious issues happening in Nigeria right now. The world is halfway catching fire, and then this is what our DSS decides that is the hot burner issue on the table right now. I mean, she could have just instigated or introduced a civil case for this matter. But for DSS, our State Security Service, I remember when that rumor came out, everybody that engaged it laughed about it. You know, it was a joking matter. I don't see the thing that it influenced in the nation. I didn't see people dying because of that. It didn't undermine our security, nothing. It's someone's private life. And unless the president in his private life is abusing human rights, that's really nothing to us. You know, it was for me, again, nothing serious, especially on social media. People did not cry that the world was coming to an end. People did not say Nigeria was being undermined. So why exactly is DSS involved in this? Especially as the minister gave her own reason that it was an embarrassment to her. Why exactly is the State Security Services arresting somebody, making a formal presentation, a public statement released with a video because somebody said the person was embarrassed? Is this a hot issue in Nigeria right now, given what is happening around the nation?
Let me bring Kayode Ogundamisi into the conversation. Kayode, what you have seen or heard and the debate over social media bill, hate speech bill, is this the right way to go for you and perhaps for the man who is said to have created that video? What has happened to him today? Do you think is the right thing or the right measure taken?
Thank you, Sheil. The fact is, citizens have a right and freedom to express themselves, but they don't have a right to be irresponsible. I mean, what would it benefit a citizen to start producing fake news? In some cases, saying people in the government do not exist. Just sit down in your bedroom and just create news that could cause instability. In some cases, you could just be in Lagos and claim that Easterners are being killed in Lagos just because you have the power to own a gadget. The implications of spreading fake news are quite huge. And in a country like Nigeria, where people seek self-help, if institutions do not rein in legally, people could just decide, okay, if I cannot get justice through the police, through the law courts, if someone writes something negative about me, I could just go and attack them at home. Having said that, government should not be seen to act in ways that will seem like they are trying to clamp down on people expressing themselves. For example, this case of the minister, why did it take the minister so long to respond to the issue, the rumor of a marriage between herself and the president? When the rumor came out, I mean, she did not come out to either deny or accept that this was going on. So government in itself must be responsible to react to modern day tools of communication, that in this age of social media, you need to dispel rumors almost immediately. You cannot wait for a rumor to go on for a very long time and almost become the truth before you start clamping down on people. So there must be responsibility from both sides. The government must act responsibly in dispelling rumors as soon as they come out. That is why you have a lot of special aids attached to the president or people in government. And citizens themselves must act responsibly.
Are you saying, Mr. Ogundamisi, that those who are proposing a social media bill or hate speech bill, it is right, considering what you have described as citizens getting into the corner of their rooms and posting fake stories or harmful materials online? Are you justifying that social media bill, hate speech bill is the way to go?
The social media bill and the hate speech bill, as it is currently being proposed, is not a perfect one. I mean, you're seeking death penalty for people based on fake news. Meanwhile, you have legislators that are having millions of dollars and corrupt people, and we don't have death penalty for corrupt people. But we must accept the fact that there must be some sort of regulation. There are existing laws in our countries that needs to be strengthened, and the lawmakers must consult with stakeholders. It's not just social media bill and hate speech. NGOs, non-governmental organizations that are collecting billions of naira and dollars from foreign companies, and they are not regulated. Nobody sees their account. What lawmakers need to do is to engage with these stakeholders and say, look, we need to self-regulate. There's no point millions of dollars going into the northeastern part of Nigeria, or people collecting money and saying they want to help people in the villages, and they end up buying properties and using the blood of our people for their own self-aggrandizement. So there's a need for regulation, but the middle ground is there must be a cooperation and a consultation between the citizen and the regulators. You cannot sit in as a lawmakers and you're collecting billions and people are stealing and you don't regulate yourself. You're not accountable to the people, and you expect people to actually appreciate laws that you want them to obey. So there's a need for self-regulations on both sides.
We will go on break, but Indy, if in 30 seconds before we go on this break, if you can tell me, social media bill, yes or no for you?
Again, dead on arrival. These organizations can self-regulate. We have seen that already. Entering 2020, we've seen the talk on social media of the new stringent rules. It was introduced last year, but again, still clamped down on again this year, or emphasized this year, at the beginning of this year, by Twitter, on how you can engage on those platforms and what will make you be taken out. Even today with America and the issue with Iran, a major person in Iran's handle was suspended for these things. These organizations, Twitter, Facebook, they can self-regulate. In the president's speech, he did mention it, that we should come to the table for a more mature conversation on regulating social media. And I think that that is the best way to go. Although this video by the DSS just shows that we are derailing from that, that bill is dead on arrival. Any conversation we're going to have about that should be centered on these organizations, these platforms censoring themselves.
All right. Indy, Kayode Ogundamisi, please stay with us. We'll take a break, but wherever you may be watching, you know that you can be part of the conversation tonight. Don't forget, you can let us know what your views are on what we're discussing tonight. Tweet to us on these handles that is showing on your screen using hashtag PoliticsToday, or send an email to us at politicstoday@channelstv.com. We'll take a break, and when we return, we'll talk more on the fake video of President Muhammadu Buhari getting married to two of his ministers. The man who is said to have created it is in the custody of the DSS. The implications are what we're discussing tonight on the program. Don't go away, anyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Welcome back to the program. Don't forget, like I told you, that your views on the program, some of them will be taking them before we close the program. Let me get some tweets in right now. Those are the handles and the hashtag politics today. Let's know what you think about what we're talking today. Some tweets are coming in. Akingbade Adeyemo at Gbade_Adeyemo says, okay, those are some of the emails from yesterday. It's about the topic of Saraki versus Kwara State government. Adebanjo Oluwafemi wrote, it says, listening to your program, I feel the state government is wrong in their decision to just destroy Saraki House without due notice. And another from Ngozi, she says, power is transient. No matter how long you hold on, someday you will give way. Ask Gowon, ask Obasanjo, ask Babangida, ask Jonathan, even ask Saraki. You too would give way someday. These are some of your comments from yesterday. Let's get some of the ones that you're saying today. Akingbade Adeyemo at Agbade_Adeyemo says, I don't think the state has a case to which the suspect could be held responsible for. However, citizens should be responsible in their publications. Another one is from Toyin's official page at Adams Toyin says, I think the DSS has done well, but they should hand over the young man to civil court and move on with top security threats in the country. Let's get my panel back into the conversation. Kato, a public affairs analyst, and Kayode Ogundamisi from London is a political analyst. Thank you so much, gentleman and lady. Let's get back to Indy. How do we then relate with some of what is happening? If you are being hurt on social media based on the post, if a case against you have been taken up on social media, fake news or hate speech, how do you then go about it when a lot of people believe that what goes on in those areas could actually hurt people's lives?
Again, if it's a case for defamation, we can't, the platform irrespective, these things have been taken care of in the law. If it's a case of defamation, if you've lied, soiled somebody's name, the person can involve a case against you, can institute a case against you for this thing. there is no reason to start forming these things. And why we are so keen, or why we are emphasizing on this, is it's very easy for rights to be abused based on this has happened, especially when the bill is initially passed. We will see a lot of that. Nigeria is not a country with a stellar human rights record. We have provision for this in the law. If you see somebody has defamed you, all of that, please take it to court. Again, as people have said on social media, and I would still say it, that we are having attacks in Kogi State. We are having attacks in parts of the Northeast and all of that. It's so, I don't know how to explain how I feel seeing DSS on TV today for that kind of issue, as if they have solved a very big case. What he has done, I would consider, if it's done against me, again, embarrassing, again, irresponsible, but parading him like a criminal or somebody who is threatening the sovereignty of our nation, I don't think that is what should happen. If you feel that you have a case against this young man for what he has done, please take the case to court. Let the judiciary deal with it. And if, as a person in the Federal Executive Council, you do not think that our judiciary is up to the task for a case such as this, then perhaps it's time for us to start talking about judicial reforms. People have been pushing for that, and we should have a proper conversation about it. But you can't jump the line from taking this to court and then straight to DSS. It is to scare young people. That is what this is. It's to scare young people from bringing out their opinions, from saying how they feel about things, from posting things. And a lot of people in these conversations have also shared fake news, have shared several things that are not true. I don't see those people on DSS or in DSS custody. This is completely unnecessary. This continues to spread fear, cuts down on young people. And social media, let's again state this, that is the main opposition the country has right now. No party is stepping up to be the voice of the people as social media is.
Apologies to butt in. Quickly, before I go to Mr. Ogundamisi, is there any threat to rights of citizens in the social media space? Or in fact, in the traditional platforms, is there any kind of threat? Do you think that human rights is being trampled upon?
Not in cases that the government keeps mentioning. You know, we had Senator Sani going on TV to talk about this same wedding thing. They are relating it to this wedding thing, and this is just not important. We're having young women in the North cannot post pictures of themselves on social media without being assaulted for it. People are being threatened. People are using this same platform to tell people, I will show up at your place and beat you. All of these things are happening, and we're not looking into that. Again, this space, as with any other platform, has a tendency to be abused. Going back to the president's speech from the new year, the president stated that when we are discussing this, we should all come to the table with maturity, look at all the issues keenly. What this is doing is that it destroys that table we're supposed to come on and discuss what this space entails. There's so much.
Let me bring in Kayode Ogundamisi back into the conversation. Apologies, Mr. Ogundamisi. Is there any imminent threat to rights of citizens and the freedom of expression in the land such that people are afraid of any form of control by the state or by the law, specifically on issues of hate speech and social media bill?
I think the culture of the government using the wrong agencies to tackle very simple problems can create a culture of fear with users on social media. For example, if you're using an high-handedness, let me give you a typical case. It's the case of the arrest of a publisher of Sahara Reporters, Omoshe Yole. Somebody who could have just been prosecuted in Lagos on just environmental law being charged for treason. I mean, those kind of things create this culture of you being scared of the government just using its powers irregularly. So there are quite cases on social media where people obviously violate the laws of the land. If the police should just arrest them, take them to a magistrate court. No, you fly them to Abuja, you create this big press conference, make a big hero out of them. I mean, it creates a culture of fear. But government must protect citizens who cannot protect themselves from this scourge of fake news and hate speech that could definitely lead our country into chaos if we don't regulate it and find a solution to it.
Kayode Ogundamisi, political analyst, talking to us from London. Kato, a public affairs analyst from our Abuja studio. Many thanks, both of you, for coming and sharing your thoughts with us tonight on the program. Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye for now.